afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting and everything and amazing Propagandacast with me, host and Pearl Dane, the one and only master of propaganda. Off here to a 1v1 on Taranto Coastline. The South stands SuperKeitel fighting here for America, freedom, democracy. Here with the 3rd Infantry Division, found themselves under assault by the Germans of the 3rd Panzer Grenadier Division. Task with holding line until reinforcements could arrive to push back the Germans. We've got an immediate choice here of armoured though, with of course immediate choice of veteran crews and fast deploy. Rapid Jeep of course being pushed out here for SuperKeitel. North stands DexN fighting for Deutschland and the 3rd Panzer Grenadier Division. Off here with a Kettenkrad Grenadier start here with the 3rd Panzeraufklärungsabteilung. CoH3 seizing the points here. 2nd Aufklärerkompanie. So Grenadiers around here for DexN and Deutschland. Heading south to the pioneers. The Kettenkrad rapidly sweeps northwards here, grabbing as much as it can here. Kettenkrads were utility vehicles or light tractors designed initially for airborne units to provide them with very light tractors, but would see usage in a variety of other ways. As it turns out, these things were fairly handy, amongst other things that be used to taxi aircraft once they started having issues with enough fuel for the aircraft, and so could use the Kettenkrads that way, preserve, more expensive aviation fuel. So, little fun fact there. Southwards, Jeep rushing, grabbing southern fuel point and doing so rapidly. Racing forward for freedom and democracy in the south here. DexN's Grenadier standing at the ready here. 2nd Grenadiers going the way here for Deutschland. We got Ralph Corps coming up the centre here. Gonna catch here DexN's Pioneers and swiftly force them to withdraw. Grenadiers moving towards the south part here. Also a bit bold here by DexN to go for Kettenkrads. Personally, this is not a map I'd go for Kettenkrads on, but admittedly, DexN is also a better player than me. Shots fired here, the Grenadiers versus the Jeep, pushing it back with a few well-placed shots. Got them moving up here with the Grenadiers. Up north, points being seized. Kettenkrad rushing straight to the scouts here. Certainly one of the less major threats here to Kettenkrad. South side here, Grenadiers going to fight it out with the Jeep. Jeep already a bit fairly dinged up. He can pull it back for self-repair. 2nd Ralph Corps here, pulling forwards for SuperKeitel. As his fuel with them, we grab with the Kettenkrad there. DexN racing forwards. Meanwhile, 2nd Grenadiers got pushing forwards here, grabbing the munitions point here. Lot of skirmishing here and there so far already in the first 2 minutes of the game here. Routes coming up here. DexN Grenadiers here are definitely caught in a pretty bad spot here as SuperKeitel swiftly advances for freedom and democracy. Grenadiers down to 2 men here, forced to withdraw here. We do get a victory point lead here from DexN or SuperKeitel already. Grenadiers here caught with the Ralph Corps here out in the open. That should be a win here, I think, fairly rapidly for SuperKeitel and his GIs, as they definitely have the upper hand here with the Grenadiers. Pushing up towards the fuel point here, grabbing the southern victory point. Moving on, though. Obviously, wants to use the rifle elsewhere. Moving the G-Wing to grab that instead. And we got an MD-14 for DexN. Not exactly a major surprise here. Meanwhile, Flamethrower Pioneers here burning through the GIs there, lighting them up like candles. And we got DexN with a pretty fast Panzer Grenadier company here. And an interesting choice indicating he's probably not going to go for breakthrough, which is typically very heavily chosen on this map, as it is, well, very good on this map. So DexN has got some kind of other strategy here in mind. We'll of course have to see where this goes. Grenadiers are pursuing the Jeep, forcing it back. Up north here, points being grabbed by the scouts. Kettenkrad being forwards, fairly damaged. Could do with some repairs and probably some band-aids for the guy driving around on it. Jeep here firing away there. Grabbing back the southern victory point. Hasn't grabbed the victory point here yet. That's definitely, I think, should be priority there for SuperKeitel. Meanwhile, DexN pushing southwards. Panther fires the Jeep, knocking out the engine crew. There's definitely having a rough day. They've captured a victory point. Are you alright back there, Carl? Yeah, but they got the biscuits. God damn it, not the biscuits. They're the only thing we got that is edible. Cartridge or Kettenkrad, they're running southwards here. Also, an additional fun side fact, they actually make a explosive version. There's known as the Springer, basically a bit like a larger version of the Goliath. I don't think they were going to add that one to the game, but a part of me would actually like to see just a Kettenkrad, as an explosive in the game. And they even had a bigger version that known as the Borgward 4B, which was like a really large Goliath in a sense. It actually was driven to the front and then just remote control the last bit of the way there. Mort here for SuperKeitel in response here to DexN and his infantry, and of course, more crucially, his machine gun. Very good move. We also got the captain out here for SuperKeitel. Meanwhile, for DexN here, we got the Panzer Grenadier company up, but not much out of it yet. Grenadiers moving forwards here. Rather light front line here. And machine gun there, they're ambushed here, but the Rout Squad here, definitely a bad spot there for DexN, meant to be caught in. Rout Squad here, oh, could get past the Agrafire, maybe doing it a bit too slow here. No, gets past the Agrafire of the MD42. The crew is dangerously exposed now, but the Riflemen themselves are also in a bit of a bad spot, as they're actually fairly unhealthy, and they don't have any grenades like quick to swing the engagement. Do have the mortar nearby, but is it near enough? Apparently it is not. It is not even set up. Meanwhile, up north here, Rout Squad's pushing in here. Dex maintaining good map control, and we got something out there, DexN's base. In fact, we can pop over to DexN's perspective, and there's a Panzergrenadier squad. So a Kettenkrat, keep messing up Kettenkrat and Kartschut for some reason lately. 2 Grenadiers, NU-42, and the Panzergrenadiers. Not the most heaviest tier 1 openings, but anyway, still aggressive with the Panzergrenadiers. It's an interesting opening from DexN. Keep firing away at the Grenadiers and the NU-42, and of course, he's keeping them working together to form up a cohesive tactical formation, which the Americans can't easily breach, not without at least a mortar. In the south here, Keitel moving forwards here, gonna spot those DexN Schützenmine there the hard way. That is stepping on it.
We are losing control of a sector.
Up north here, Grenadiers pushing in there, machine gun covering up the northern flank here. We got BARs up there for SuperKeitel, we got the Kettenkrat going for the fuel point again. Really good preservation of the Kettenkrat here, but DexN so far versus SuperKeitel. Scouts pushing news there, and we got the battle group chosen. It is Mechanized battle group here with the raid package picked for DexN. I would not be surprised to hear the 8-rad here, the 8-rad. Typically tends to be the more common choice. So some players will go for the Stuka Assault group. Most players, though, tend to be more big on the 8-rad, as it is more accessible, cheap, and of course just really, really nasty to deal with. That's only pop, and of course it synergizes with the raid package, whereas the Stug D only gets the smoke, it doesn't get the ability to grab stuff here, which would obviously be a bit busted if they could as well. But there you go, Rout Squad pushed back here by the Panzergrenadier. We got Rout Squad being flanked here with the Pioneer moving up there, flying the Alpha. Panzergrenadier's diving southwards here, as SuperKeitel of course realizes he needs to hit DexN fuel supply here. Good move there of course by SuperKeitel. Meanwhile, machine gun moving about, repositioning it. DexN being overall, I think, quite active with this machine gun positioning against SuperKeitel here. Thumbs up to that. There's some excellent machine gun play here. I think definitely worth keeping an eye on. Cat moving forwards here. Back at base, reinforcing. And we got the officer quarters and a Pack 40 here for DexN. Grenadiers reinforcing. Can of course also heal up. He could of course also consider transferring them out here. Oh, he cancels the Pack 40. Bring up the Grenadiers here. Is he going to transfer them out? Briefly look like it. I mean, he's got plenty of manpower doing nothing at the moment. Of course, there's also the other possibility. Realize he's really close to the 8-rad and would obviously benefit a lot from just getting out here versus SuperKeitel at the moment. In particular, since SuperKeitel just went for BARs. And this, of course, means he's not going to be like having a Chaffee out anytime soon or anything like to stop the 8-rad. So I think this is one of those like cases where Dex just looked at the battlefield, looked at what his opponent was doing, was like, wait a minute, my opponent made a mistake. Or at least made, you know, an opening for me. By me, of course, I mean Dex in this case. Panzergrenadiers moving forwards here. Going straight ahead here for Deutsch, but there you go. Massive throng of rifle near BARs are plenty there, just hurling lead there into DexN's Panzergrenadiers, almost wiping out the entire squad here. Probably the only thing saving here was actually the veterans who won. So close call there for DexN. That said, DexN also continues to enjoy a strong victory point lead here over SuperKeitel, who is not really doing a lot there so far. Or at least not having a lot of success on the front. We also got the 8-rad now able to be picked and called in. Yeah, he did actually transfer out one Grenadier squad here. Thumbs up. He could keep one squad more to then just merge on at a moment's notice. Meanwhile, back here, we do get the motor pool up here for SuperKeitel. But now we do have the 8-rad out here for the 3rd Panzeraufklärungsabteilung. Rolling forwards here. South here, Panzergrenadiers Rout Squad here, BARs versus Sturmgewehr 44. And there go Gebäudeladung. Leaves one man there utterly all over the place. And the rest forced to withdraw here. And meanwhile up in the center here, SuperKeitel does get the nasty surprise and news that his opponent has called in the 8-rad. Of course, this also signals to SuperKeitel that DexN has gone for Mechanized. Because, you know, there's not really much else to go for with that one, is there? 8-rad there, rolling straight ahead. We got a Panzerabwehrkanone now for DexN. Clearly concerned, you know, his opponent will try to counter his 8-rad with, you know, a Chaffee most likely, since that tends to be an incredibly good counter to the 8-rad. But interesting enough, SuperKeitel actually cancelled his motor pool and instead went for the M8 Scott. An interesting choice here from SuperKeitel. He also went for the bunker busting barrage. Normally most players would actually go for the white phosphorus rather than bunker busting barrage, because the white phosphorus barrage is kind of busted. Meanwhile, we got 276 versus 500. DexN really continues to lead in terms of 80 points versus SuperKeitel. Right for squad scouts moving north, it's backed up with the captain. Up north, let's see Akrat pushing further in here. Scott disengaging. And we got the Akrat catching the Jeep. That should very likely be the end here of SuperKeitel's Jeep. There we go. Knocked a party ball to cannon fire. Scott is going to pursue the Akrat. Try and knock out the armored car. There we go. Shot almost hit here. Bit of a tricky thing to take out the Akrat with the Scott here. Theoretically not impossible, but does I think require snares and mines to like combine with. Meanwhile here in the south further fun here we got mines here from DexN all over the place here. Thumbs up to DexN. Punch goes hit. High likelihood of getting wiped here by SuperKeitel. And there we go. Looks like it. Looks like it. Does he get the wipe? Yes, he does get the wipe. Meanwhile, bun grenade there sends SuperKeitel's rifleman into panic retreat here. As the Akrat moves in as well, the mortar hit slams through the engine block here, causing a significant amount of damage. Meanwhile, up north here, DexN creeps in the Kettenkrant once more to harass. And there we go. The Scott hits the man. The engine is completely ruined. Now we got the motor pool here for SuperKeitel. Scott here trying to get out of it. Meanwhile, got the Akrat crashing through here nearby warehouse. Storage house, I don't know. Scott finding way there, trying to hit, but it is not going well. Panzer Grenadiers racing forwards here for DexN. Akrat there versus the Scott. Decent shot there. Entertainment moving up here, good chance here that SuperKeitel will lose his Scott here to DexN and his Panzer Abwehrkanone. Troops are being moved in here to assist. Do we have any snares research? We do. Pack shoots, but miserably misses here. Anti-tank guns for SuperKeitel. Panzer is rushing to the up rifleman and are forced to withdraw here. Keitel then narrowly saves his Scott, but now crucially has another headache on his hands, which is he has no way of repairing it. He needs engineers, and he's spending all his manpower right on anti-tank to deal with the Akrat. So things here going slightly pear-shaped for the American player. Machine gun team there hauling further forwards. Bit risky here. We got the scouts creeping up. First anti-tank gun done. Coming forwards there, goes straight into the anti-tank grenades here. DexN definitely getting overconfident, suffers a significant amount of damage to his Akrat. Also, he's going for spotting scopes here, meaning he's not going straight for the Panther either. Round squad, they're diving straight for the Pack 40. Also confetting here, the Akrat here. Yeah, I think he wants to destroy it. Probably right now for Keitel, though. He doesn't have the munitions for that one grenade. Panther's diving in here as well. More troops are moving in. It's a chaotic mess here by the center. Panther's diving through the smoke now, laid down by the Akrat, only to find themselves faced with an execution squad of hardened GIs here, the BARs, making short work of these hardened Panzer Grenadiers. Looks like the Akrat may get out of there, and we got a fresh Panzer Grenadier squad out as well for DexN. Thumbs up, he did replace the losses there. 150 though. Keitel really needs to get his hand on those victory points. Obviously, the Akrat is not making this an easy to achieve task at all. And there we go, finally got engineers up so we can finally start repairing his M8 Scott. Which at this rate is at a very high risk of becoming an M8 not. You know, the Scott itself is sort of meant to sort of self-propelled light artillery there to support the armoured formations. Will later get replaced by the 105mm Sherman, which is just basically the Scott, but bigger, something you might notice. Instead, the Scots will then be directed towards the armoured reconnaissance units to provide artillery support for those. Fun fact. The south here mine goes off on the scouts. Again, DexN's mine here are paying off strong and horrifically beautiful dividends. Akrat fixed up, Kettenkrant and new repairs again. And we got a Panzer Company here for DexN and Deutschland. Panzer's racing straight at the rifleman here. Grenades being chucked, but they miss. Still, he has managed to very briefly halt the bleed and actually start a bit of bleeding in DexN. At this rate, though, I would not be surprised if he ends up going here for the Sherman Combat Group. EC8, an attempt to turn the tide here against the Germans. Meanwhile, DexN here, and the 3rd Panzer Division keeps up. There you go. That was a hell of a hit here from the Scot, showing what he can do, and probably why he went for it, because while he doesn't always land those hits, when he does land a direct hit, it can actually do immense amounts of damage to, like, an Arctard or any light vehicle like that. But that is the tricky part, if it hits properly. New Panzer, they're being hammered here by the Scots. Anti-tank crews here being ripped apart by furious assault rifle fire here as DexN's troops moving up. They've got a double bun grenade on the Scot, and he takes out the Scot with the bun grenades. Technically, historically accurate, as bun grenades, amongst other things, at least in the early parts of the war, were used as anti-tank weapons as well. And certainly against the Scot, if they get close enough to that, that would have been in trouble as well. But yeah, not very often you see a Scot knocked out by bun grenades, is it? Over to DexN. He's got the Panzer Company up here. He's going for Starstruppen. 2 thumbs up to DexN. He did go for the spawning scopes here. But in the end, Keitel was able to remove the Arctard, and that is a significant win here for him. Of course, he needs to get control of those victory points. He control the rest of the map, and he also, you know, needs something more armored as well. Meanwhile, Starstruppen arriving here. Hardened veterans of the 3rd Panzer Grenadier shown there. The G43s. And their MG42 up north here. Spotted here. We got mines from DexN's Kencrat on the fuel point of SuperKeitel. His scout immediately finds it, but of course in the bad way. Hey Sarge, I think I found... South side being grabbing the engineers here. Starstruppen advancing, losing Ludwig there. Von Poppenheimer in the first volley there for the Americans. Panzer supporting here a massed German infantry assault here of hardened troops swinging into the southern flank of SuperKeitel there like a brick through a window to a candy store. Americans are doing what they can to defend here, but the Panthers are lopping high explosives left and right, and their assault rifles are making quite an impact. Well, Mortifier, though, is trying to hold here the German advance in the end, though. DexN's southern assault loses all momentum, and his Panzer Grenadiers are forced to withdraw here by the looks of it. In the south, though, we do have a 3rd Panzer squad that remains in reserve, perhaps, which just kind of got forgotten about. Engineers moving up here, forcing DexN's Panzers to withdraw. Up north here, Scouts pushed back by the Pioneers and the Kencrat, leaving the northern victory point threatened once more. 473 versus 117. Starstruppen moving forwards again for the Vaterland. And we got that MG42 back in business für das Vaterland. Captain Ralph got as the Panzer's mine going off here. Looks like Mortar set it off here. Small win as opposed for SuperKeitel against DexN. Anti-tank remaining reserve here. Troops setting out. Starstruppen there and Panzer there. A deadly combo here, leaving a lot of SuperKeitel's men here quite dead. North here point being seized. Kencrat controls the southern field point. And we got the Syrian artillery barrage delaying his Panther even further, unless of course he's planning Panther 4s here, which I mean isn't a bad idea either, to be honest. Panther 4s here could be a really strong move considering everything right now versus SuperKeitel. Panzer pushing forwards here. An aggressive charge here by DexN and the 3rd Panzer Grenadier short here. SuperKeitel definitely struggling just to keep up with DexN's momentum. Like, he just keeps hitting and harassing, like, has his main force strike somewhere, and then Pioneers and Kenkrats just sneak up elsewhere and start grabbing points here. Really, I think, just utilizing the high mobility being afforded by his build and battle group here versus SuperKeitel, who's clearly struggling to keep pace with it, in part because, you know, he ended up going for a much more static build with a lot of anti-tanks and whatnot. But again, DexN's build is able to exploit this quite well. And we got another Starstruppen squad. Oh boy, double Starstruppen. That always makes me happy to see. Northern point grab with the Scouts, further north here, Ralph squad advancing on the northern victory point here. So there you go, double Starstruppen. Double the Starstruppen, double the Deutschland. And certainly quite a pickle here for SuperKeitel at this point. Must clearly be holding out for the EC8s, which of course are going to give DexN a hell of a headache, because currently he's only got one anti-tank gun. I mean, despite his other advantages, he hasn't really been pulling for a lot of tanks to prepare for like the very inevitable EC8s. And that certainly, I would say, is one, like, you know, issue here for DexN. Perhaps he just is, like, feeling overconfident. He's just doing it to taunt his opponent. I do not know, but I suppose that'll also be overconfident. But it is a noticeable gap here in DexN's force compensation, and could prove to be, you know, his Achilles heel. Because now we do have the EC8 out, and that one is absolutely bonkers. As infantry up north here, starts with Mr. Squad and the scouts here. 50 points less than that fact left here for SuperKeitel. Catching the Starstorm up north here. A brutal engagement here. 2 Starstorm squads, both veterans in one. Did go for the officer quarters. Thumbs up. There's his countless riflemen. We got the ECs flanking up. Kenkrat's going to get spotted here. In the south here, Assault Engineers versus the Panzer Grenadiers here. Diving in with EC8. DexN is forced to abandon northern holdings here. The Villa is, simply put, not a sustainable position to hold. And the south side of the Assault Engineers being wiped out by the Panzer Grenadier. Over to SuperKeitel there. First EC8 out, Pack 40 there, flanked by the Sherman EC8. Got the high explosive rounds here. Slamming into the Pack 40 here. No Panther 4. Guess he might be setting up here for the Panther at this stage. I mean, had he said a bunch of Panther 4s up by now, I'd certainly say Keitel's chance of making this EC8 work would be a bit less great. But anyways, pushing forwards here, diving into DexN spaces. SuperKeitel is incredibly bold here, but at the same time probably also thinking he needs to be like bold. He needs to like deliver some heavy losses to DexN before like swings in with that Panther. Starstorm then caught by the EC8 here. Thankfully for DexN, the high explosive rounds are not yet available because there's enough munitions, but of course as soon as they have them, DexN here could be in a lot of trouble inside his own base. The Starstorm and the Panthers are piling up in the numbers, and of course lacking any Grenadiers, it does become fairly expensive to reinforce them since you can't just merge here. So quite hectic stuff. In the south, the MD4 to defend the southern point, but being hit by American mortar fire here. Round squads there finding outside the base. Panzers charging into them here. Starstorm somehow survived as SuperKeitel, of course, is forced to move out of the base to go to the victory point to gain control of them here. As DexN, of course, realizes where he needs to focus, and that is on the victory points. He might have subbed up here, but he's got such a victory point lead, and SuperKeitel's got so few victory points left here that he might still be able to win this in the face of an EC8 and otherwise, like, you know, over-leveraged build here if he can just gain control of the victory points. And so far, there's a good chance he can do it. Mortified, they're almost wiping out here. DexN's MD42 could even be seized here, but Keitel, yeah. Meanwhile, northern point being grabbed by the engineers, and we got DexN's Kenkrat on the western victory point. Back here, troop enforcing healing. Starstorm on the move again here, heading northwards. An elite column of hardened Truppen here, armed to the teeth. Scouts gripping the machine gun there, going for the victory point here. EC8 racing southwards again. Up north, the engineers are being caught there in a wave of hardened German veterans and are forced to withdraw here lest they get destroyed. And we got here anti-tank from northwards. But there you go, DexN caught the artillery on it. I think Keitel sort of realized it, but perhaps not too late enough. There you go. The entire orchard just explodes in a shower of artillery here. Meanwhile, a swarm of panzers from the southern point here. EC down towards here. Catching the Starstorm in an absolutely horrific possession here. We've got 13 points left for Keitel. 13 points. What? We got the blend curve up. We almost got the Starstorm wiped here. 12 points. Versus 31, we got the Stars. MD42 versus the 3 Panzer Grenadier squads. They got no smoke. They got no coverage. They're forced to retreat. Heading for the northern point here. Other Star squad moving here past the blown apart orange trees. Or is it lemon trees? I don't know. But whatever they were, it's probably all juice now. With extra pulp in it. My God, what did they put in this juice? Ah, it's someone's ear.
What do you need?
So you got 1 point left for SuperKeitel. 1 point left versus DexN with 431. That is a hell of a difference. And we got more EC8s on the way here. This is definitely where things typically tend to get tough there for the Germans. Because again, he's got like one anti-tank gun versus multiple EC8s. And most of his infantry is very vulnerable to these EC8s. He's got 1 point to just pull through there, so there's not impossible here for DexN. And he's still shot on those Panthers, and he seems really insistent on going for them now. Not that I blame him, but certainly had some challenge here for poor DexN. Of course, there's also a challenge for SuperKeitel because one mistake here, and he's going to lose the game on the spot. So it's definitely a challenge. He's going here for the Pack 40, kind of makes sense, but at the same time, he does need to defend these victory points. So he can't dive in too hard either, or DexN's going to probably just sneak past and run straight for those victory points like a toddler running for some kind of like dangerous thing. Over to DexN here. 2 Starstorm squads, 3 Panzergrenadier squads here, 1 Pioneer squad. Panther is close, but is it close enough? Starstorm advancing northwards here. And we got a Pioneer squad running for the other victory point. The far south here, Panzergrenadier is flanking up behind SuperKeitel's front line here, ripping through the assault engineers. And the mortar crews here could pop a bomb grenade in the machine crew here. EC8's diving into the base here. I feel like Keitel forgets about the other victory points, which could be grabbed by DexN any moment. And there we go. He's making a move for the Starstorm advancing the 1 point. Pioneers for the other point here. Panzer squad have been caught here. Still on health. Can he get a wipe? Ace level though, they are fairly tough. Hardly all those medals. Up north, Starstorm pushback. We got 1 point left. The Pioneers! The Pioneers! Meanwhile, a Panther has arrived here for DexN and Deutschland. Sent in from the 26th Panzer Division. Starstorm wiped out. Quite a blow to DexN. He's down just 1 Starstorm squad, 2 Panzer Grenadiers, Pioneers, and a Panther. Quite fast for shell. They fight straight into the Panther, blinding the crew. Pioneers being forced to retreat right past an Ace 8. That is Brad Pitt. And there you go. The Pioneers down, but the Panther keeps up. Doesn't care who it's driving that bloody Amerikanischer Panzerkampfwagen. Shoots. Gets a shot through here, but the rifle filling him with a snare. Panzergun is putting forwards. Starstorm on the move again. We got 341 versus 1.
Alarm! All victory points are under enemy control.
Ralph squad there sniped.
Ready to be deployed.
Panzer goes for the southern victory point here. MD42 there. Oh, repositioning at just the worst time. Maybe he just realised he couldn't hold that point. And that also means again he's got little time to respond to. His opponent's got like just need to get one of those victory points for just a bit longer. He's gonna have the southern one in a few moments. Starstorming for the northern one here. EC8's being repaired. Anti-tank moving in there. Panther moving forwards on a mission of destruction. Anti-tank crew there takes him unlost as Bobo gets hit with a high explosive shell there. In the south here, troops are being rushed to the front line here. SuperKeitel desperately trying to organize a counterattack here as the front line crumbles like an overly dry biscuit. Panzer's pushing north. It's not going for the victory point. He's almost got northern. Oh no, he misclicked. I think he misclicked. Or miscued here with the shift orders. I don't know, but the point's been in neutral. Yeah, looking at it as like bit there. I think he miscued there. 300 points versus 1. Machine gun crew being pushed forwards again. No time for reinforcements. And there goes it, pushing forwards to Starstorm, forced to retreat as soon as they hear the rumbling of the EC8's engine, as of course, single shot from this could wipe them. And DexN cannot afford any wipes at the moment. Admittedly, I'm not entirely sure what DexN can afford at the moment. ATC8 there, Brad Pitt rolling out there, clearly not comfortable fighting a Panther.
We have lost control.
My contract says Tiger tanks, not Panther tanks.
We should spend our munitions at once.
Ace Panzer flank up machine gun here. 297 versus 1. Keitel continues to hang on here frantically. Machine gun team wiped out, but the Ace Panzer Grenadiers. Good kill here for DexN. And Deutschland poured on them, being unleashed here. Forcing them to withdraw here. More rifle moving forward to EC8's being almost fixed up. Anti-tank remaining reserve here, pushing for the point here. Gonna crew that MD4 with the rifle, very good. Panzer Grenadiers push back. Hat recruit here. Northwards with the Starstorm once more. Panther on the move again here. EC8s are good to go. Like one mistake here for Dex and the match could be lost, but at the same time, one mistake from Keitel and the match is also gone. Like, this is absolutely intense. This is a hell of a thrill of a match. EC to pursuing the Panther, entertaining though, turning around here, maybe might be able to stop them. Panther takes a penetrating hit here. EC8 bounces a shot off the Panther's 80mm of sloped armor. Pack beats it up here. Another penetrating hit here. He's closing on another Panther. Pack setting up too late here. Neat, I think. Oh, too late. Could have popped the rapid fire, I think, here. Too late. Pushing for the northern victory point. EC8's diving into the base. Oh, dear. Infantry company there in a bad spot. DexN sending his troops in here. We got a third EC8 for SuperKeitel and the first infantry division here. Panzers being pushed back with EC8s. Men are dying in their droves. Almost suffered a wipe here. Over to SuperKeitel here. DexN close to another Panther, but he's also close to the other victory point. I don't think SuperKeitel's realized that he's diving into the base. He's going for a annihilation win. But he's forgotten about the Starstoffen. He's forgotten. He's so caught up in wrecking DexN's base here that DexN's been able to rush in the Starstorm here and go for the other victory point. The Asoni's not moving to the point either. He's so focused up there in the base. He could just rush in to deal with them, but because he's so caught up here. Ah, no. Oh, no. He was so close. And he's still not moving on the point. He's so caught up. He's lost focus. He's got the wrong focus all the way, though. GG. GG. It's going to move on to the end screen otherwise. So, game over there. Holy smokes. SuperKeitel almost had this. He almost had this. And then right at the end, he forgot how many victory points he had. That's got to feel a bit bitter there. Really interesting strategy here, though, from DexN. Definitely not what I expected for this map either, but he actually handled it fairly well. It's just DexN himself made a rather critical mistake, which is just like, you know, not getting out like any serious amount of armor to hold back the EC8s. I will say I do commend the whole double Starstorm move, but he definitely needs some Panzer IVs, at least Stugs out, I think, to help hold the front line against all of these EC8s. He relied, I mean, the Panther obviously to a degree can work with it. The problem was by the time he had the Panther, his opponent had like an ace EC8, which, particularly if you remember to use the HRAP ranch, I don't think he did, though. He probably didn't have an issue for it. It could also make much shorter work of it. So things were a bit rough there. I think DexN definitely got a bit too confident, got slapped for it, but he was still able, I think, to see a way through here and then crush SuperKeitel. Really aggressive stuff there. So, I hope you enjoyed this match. You'll learn something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it, tell a friend, tell family. Well, not your enemies. You can also support the Propagandacaster by donating or pledging on Patreon. Links in the description. This is Imperial Links in cheers, and see you all tomorrow for another episode. Bye, everyone.